Hey friend, today we're diving deep into something that might just change your entire relationship with productivity. We're talking about Deep Work for Distracted People by Dr. Marcus Chen. And trust me, this isn't your typical self-help book that tells you to wake up at 5 a.m. or drink green smoothies. Let me ask you something real quick. When was the last time you sat somewhere and did absolutely nothing? I'm not talking about scrolling through your phone while pretending to relax. I mean genuinely, truly nothing. No device, no music, no conversation, just you and your thoughts. Can't remember? Yeah, you're not alone. Most of us can't. Here's the wild thing. We've been conditioned to believe that boredom is the enemy. That empty moment in the elevator? Pull out your phone. Waiting for your coffee order? Check Instagram. Your food is taking 5 extra minutes? Time to scroll through TikTok. We've essentially declared war on any second of stillness, treating it like some kind of disease that needs immediate treatment. But Dr. Chen drops a bomb right at the beginning of his book. He says that boredom isn't your enemy. It's actually your secret weapon. It's the gateway to deep focus and meaningful work. And here's the kicker. If you can't sit still for even 5 minutes without reaching for stimulation, you'll never achieve deep work in your life. Ever. Think about that for a second. Really think about it. When you were a kid, boredom was different, wasn't it? You didn't have a supercomputer in your pocket feeding you endless entertainment. So what did you do? You created things. You stared at the ceiling and found patterns. You made up stories in your head. You invented games with whatever was around you. Your brain was in creation mode, not consumption mode. Now, the moment boredom hits, we're injecting ourselves with ready-made entertainment. We've trained our brains to consume rather than create. And that's where the problem starts. Dr. Chen explains that boredom is actually a natural signal from your brain. When external stimulation decreases, your brain starts to activate internally. This is the moment where ideas are born, where creativity awakens, where focus solidifies. But we never let ourselves reach that stage. We can't even tolerate the first uncomfortable twinge of boredom. We immediately numb it with our phones. And here's what happens. Your brain forgets how to exist in low-stimulation environments. It becomes addicted to constant dopamine hits. But deep work? Deep work requires exactly the opposite. It needs you to be comfortable with minimal stimulation. Let me paint you a picture. Deep work means being completely absorbed in one task without distraction. It's that flow state where time disappears and you're producing your best stuff. But if your brain is trained to expect a dopamine hit every 30 seconds, how is it supposed to stay focused on something challenging for 2 hours? Boredom tolerance is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. The more you run from it, the weaker it becomes. And right now, in this moment of human history, most people are running. They're running fast. That's why we're seeing an epidemic of focus problems. It's not that people are getting dumber. It's that they've made boredom their mortal enemy. They've forgotten that some of the most powerful moments in life happen in the gaps between stimulation. When you first sit in boredom, your mind races. Thoughts scatter everywhere. You feel this intense urge to do something, anything. Check something, watch something, consume something. This is where most people break. They can't handle it. They reach for their phone, and the cycle continues. But here's what Dr. Chen discovered through his research. If you can just wait a little longer, maybe 5 minutes, something magical happens. Your brain starts to settle. It's like when you shake up muddy water and then stop. The dirt settles to the bottom and the water becomes clear. That's what happens in your mind during boredom. The mental noise decreases. Clarity emerges. And that clarity, that's the beginning of deep focus. The method Dr. Chen teaches is ridiculously simple, but it's powerful. Whenever you have a small pocket of empty time, like waiting for an elevator, standing at a traffic light, or being in line somewhere, don't pull out your phone. Just stand there. Look around. Pay attention to your breathing. Notice your thoughts. I know what you're thinking. That sounds awkward as hell. And you're right. It will feel awkward at first. You'll feel like you're wasting time. You'll feel weird standing there while everyone else is on their phones. But here's the truth. You're not wasting time. You're retraining your brain. You're teaching it that it can survive in low stimulation mode. Slowly, gradually, your brain stops seeing boredom as a threat. It starts to understand that not every moment needs to be filled with entertainment. And this skill, this seemingly small shift, becomes massive when you try to do deep work. When you sit down for a difficult task and that initial resistance hits you, know that feeling where your brain is like, nah, this is boring, let's check Twitter. Your brain won't panic anymore. It'll recognize the feeling. It'll say, oh, I've been here before. This isn't new. I can handle this. In today's productivity world, everyone's looking for the next app, the next hack, the next system. But Boredom Advantage isn't an app. It's not some fancy technique you can download. It's an inner discipline. It's a decision to not fill every empty moment, to leave some space in your mind. Because creativity and clarity always emerge in empty space, never in cluttered space. You've probably noticed this yourself. Your best ideas come in the shower, right? Or during a walk alone. Not because showers are magical thinking chambers, but because in those moments, your brain is in low stimulation mode. No phone, no notifications, just you and your mind. That boredom, that silence, that's where ideas are born. If you're constantly surrounded by external noise, you'll never hear your internal voice. The signal gets drowned out by the static. Here's another benefit of boredom that nobody talks about. It makes you present. When you're lost in your phone, you're physically in one place, but mentally somewhere completely different. But sitting in boredom brings you right here, right now. You start noticing your environment. You start noticing yourself. This is mindfulness without any app, without any guided meditation, without any subscription. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. When you start practicing this, it's going to feel uncomfortable. Your brain will create every excuse in the book. Just check one notification. just 2 minutes of scrolling. There might be an important message. But you need to understand something crucial. Most things aren't as urgent as we make them out to be. That discomfort you're feeling? Those are withdrawal symptoms. Just like when someone quits any addiction, quitting stimulation addiction makes boredom feel painful. But like any addiction, the pain is temporary. Before I continue, if you're enjoying this summary and finding it valuable, consider subscribing to our channel. You can also become a member or support us directly. Your support helps us create more content like this. Now, back to the summary. When you learn to tolerate boredom, something incredible happens. Your attention span starts to increase. You can read books for longer periods. You can focus on work without constantly taking breaks. You start to feel in control of yourself. And that control? That's real freedom. Without it, we're just slaves to our impulses. Boredom has become rare in today's world. And because of that, deep thinkers have also become rare. Every great thinker, writer, scientist, philosopher spent significant time with boredom. They sat alone. They thought deeply. They observed. If they had been scrolling through feeds every empty moment, their groundbreaking ideas would have never emerged. The Boredom Advantage teaches us that we don't need to fear boredom. It's not the enemy. It's a doorway that takes you into the depths of your own mind. But to walk through that door, you need to stand in silence for a while. You need to resist the urge. You need to meet yourself. If you want more focus in your life, if you want creativity to flow, if you want to do truly meaningful work, you need to intentionally bring boredom back into your life. Not constantly, but regularly. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Just doing nothing. This sounds simple, but in the modern world, this practice is an act of rebellion. It goes against everything our culture tells us to do. Fill every moment. Stay busy. Stay connected. Stay stimulated. Gradually, you'll realize that boredom isn't scary anymore. In fact, you'll start to like it sometimes. Because in that silence, you find clarity. You find direction. And most importantly, you find connection with yourself. In the end, boredom isn't emptiness, it's fertile ground. If you stop and let it be, something new can grow there. But if you keep pouring concrete over that ground, nothing will ever emerge. The choice is yours. Picking up your phone is easy. Sitting in boredom is hard. But in life, the things that are hard are the things that move you forward. Today, our phones aren't just in our hands anymore. They've become part of our reflexes. We don't even realize it, and our finger has already unlocked the screen. Sometimes we ask ourselves, why am I even picking up my phone? And we don't have a clear answer. Just an urge, and we reacted to it. This is the impulsive loop. Dr. Chen says that breaking this loop requires more than just strong willpower or positive thinking. Because while the problem starts in the mind, control is much easier at the body level. This is where the body buffer technique comes in. We often think that if we can just convince our mind, motivate ourselves enough, phone addiction will disappear. But here's the truth. When an urge hits, your logical brain, the prefrontal cortex, temporarily goes offline. In that moment, the dopamine-driven brain takes control. You're acting on impulse, not logic. So lecturing your mind at that moment is useless. You need to intervene through the body. The body buffer works on this exact principle. It means doing some physical action before touching your phone. A small delay, just a few seconds, like taking a deep breath, snapping a rubber band on your wrist, putting your phone in a drawer, or standing up from your chair and sitting back down. This action sounds absurdly simple, almost useless. But from a neuroscience perspective, it's powerful, because that split-second gap breaks the dopamine loop. The dopamine loop is incredibly fast. Trigger comes, urge hits, action happens, reward received, all in milliseconds. The body buffer puts a speed bump in this chain. As soon as you insert a physical step before picking up your phone, your brain gets a little time. Just enough time for the prefrontal cortex to wake up. And that's the part that can say, wait, I don't actually need to pick up the phone right now. Imagine you're studying or working. Suddenly, boredom hits. Automatically, your hand moves toward your phone. If there's no buffer, you're straight into the screen. But if you've made a rule that before picking up your phone, you'll take one deep breath, in that one breath, awareness arrives. In that 1 second, you notice why you were reaching for the phone. Most of the time, the answer will be, just because. And that awareness weakens the impulse. The beauty of the body buffer is that you don't have to suppress the urge. You're not fighting yourself. You're just slowing down the process. Like instead of slamming on the brakes, you're gradually reducing speed. When speed decreases, control returns. That's why this technique is sustainable. Our problem is that phones are too accessible. In our pocket, on the table, under the pillow. The brain gets the reward with zero effort. The body buffer adds effort, a little friction. And friction is the most effective way to change behavior. Put friction in the path of bad habits. Remove friction from the path of good habits. If your phone is lying in your hand, the buffer will be very weak. But if your phone is in a drawer, in your bag, or in another room, the buffer becomes strong. Now, to pick up the phone, you have to get up, walk, open the drawer. All these physical steps give your brain multiple chances to snap out of the urge. That's why Dr. Chen emphasizes physical rules over mental rules. A mental rule is, I'll use my phone less. A physical rule is, my phone will always stay in the drawer. Mental rules are easy to break. Physical rules require effort to break. And effort is the enemy of impulse. The body buffer technique also teaches us that self-control doesn't mean force. Self-control means smart design. You design your environment so that wrong behavior automatically becomes difficult. Then you don't have to be a hero every day. Another interesting thing is that the body buffer is shame-free. If you feel an urge, you don't consider yourself weak. Feeling urges is natural. The dopamine system is built that way. The problem isn't the urge. Problem is instant reaction. The body buffer delays the reaction. It doesn't eliminate it. Gradually, when you practice this technique, your brain learns a new pattern. Now, when a trigger comes, you don't automatically check your phone. First, the body buffer activates. This becomes a new habit, And habits are always built through repetition, not motivation. In the beginning, you'll think this is childish. What difference will one breath make? But the difference doesn't come from the breath. It comes from the pause. Pause has become rare in modern life. We're living without pause. The body buffer gives you back your pause. Many people use the rubber band method. As soon as the urge to pick up the phone comes, gently snap the rubber band on your wrist. Not pain, just sensation. That sensation pulls your brain into the present moment. The dopamine fantasy breaks. Reality returns. Some people use water as a buffer. One sip of water before picking up the phone. Some people change their posture. Some people count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whatever the method, the principle is the same. Involve your body between the phone and the action. The biggest advantage of the body buffer is that it works everywhere. At the office, at home, while traveling. You don't need any app. You don't need to install any blocker on your phone. It's ironic to use a phone app to stop phone addiction, right? The body buffer is a low-tech solution to a high-tech problem. When you practice this for a few days, something surprising happens. The urges decrease because your brain understands that instant reward won't come. The dopamine system is efficiency-oriented. Where there's more effort, it reduces sending signals repeatedly. This way, the body buffer also reduces the frequency of urges in the long term. Don't limit this technique to just phones. You can use it for junk food, procrastination, overthinking, any impulsive habit. Any habit that happens without thinking, the body buffer will work there. Actually, the body buffer teaches us something profound. We are not our impulses. An impulse is a signal, not an order. It becomes an order when we act without pause. When pause comes, choice emerges. And when choice comes, freedom arrives. Today's world worships instant gratification, fast food, fast internet, fast entertainment. The body buffer is a small step towards slow living. It makes you human instead of a machine. It makes you a responder instead of a reactor. If you don't want your phone to control your life, don't fight the phone. Fighting will exhaust you. Just put a small buffer in between. One breath, one step, one pause. Sometimes that 1 second changes your entire direction. In the end, it's important to understand that discipline doesn't mean you never look at your phone. Discipline means you decide when to look. The body buffer gives you that power, the power to decide. And that power is the foundation of real productivity and peace. Designing your environment for unstoppable focus. All right, let's keep going. We all want better focus, right? We want to do deep work. We want to immerse ourselves in tasks for hours without distraction. But here's the brutal reality. We're sitting in environments specifically designed for distraction, and then wondering why we can't focus. Your phone is right there on the desk. Random stuff is scattered everywhere. The TV is on in the background, or notifications are pinging constantly. And we expect ourselves to just magically concentrate. We tell ourselves, okay, now I'm really going to focus. Dr. Chen destroys this illusion completely. He says focus isn't a character trait. It's not about being a disciplined person or a focused person. Focus is a design problem. And he gives this design a name: Space Sculpting. Space sculpting means shaping your physical environment so that focus becomes automatic and distraction becomes difficult. Most people treat focus like it's a willpower game. They think if they just become strong enough, disciplined enough, they'll be able to ignore their phone even when it's sitting right next to them. But that's not how the human brain works. Your brain always chooses the path of least resistance, where effort is minimal and reward is maximum. If your phone is within arm's reach, your brain will pull you toward it every few minutes. This isn't weakness. This is wiring. This is how we're built. Imagine sitting in a room with only a chair, a desk, and a notebook. No phone, no extra stuff. Now you only have two options: either write in the notebook or stare at the wall. After a while, staring at the wall becomes boring, so naturally you'll start writing. That's the magic of space sculpting. You're not forcing your brain, you're just limiting choices. We often say things like, "I'm going to use my phone less." But the phone stays on the table, screen facing up, notifications on. This is like being on a diet with a chocolate bar sitting right in front of you, telling yourself, "I'm strong, I won't eat it." Maybe you'll have control for a while, but eventually your brain wins. Dr. Chen is crystal clear about this. Don't try to ignore your phone. Remove it. The first rule of space sculpting is that wherever you need focus, only have items related to that work. If you need to write, only have writing tools on your desk. Laptop, notebook, pen. That's it. No snacks, no random papers, no phone stand. Every extra item is a silent invitation to distraction. You need to study, but there's a game controller on your desk, a comic book, or another device. Your brain sees those things every time and makes a micro decision. Should I check that? These micro decisions drain massive amounts of energy. Deep work isn't possible with decision fatigue. Space sculpting eliminates decisions. The phone case is the most common example. We think that if our phone is on silent, there's no problem. But the mere presence of the phone is the distraction. Studies show that just seeing your phone in front of you reduces cognitive capacity, even if it's turned off. Your brain unconsciously keeps expecting something to come. So, if you truly want focus, your phone needs to be in another room. Not on silent, not face down, not in airplane mode on the same desk. Entirely out of sight, out of reach. I know this sounds extreme, but deep work demands extreme clarity. Casual setup produces casual output. When you put your phone in another room, you're sending yourself a clear signal. This is focus time. It works like a ritual. Space sculpting isn't limited to your desk. It applies to your entire life. If you want to eat less junk food, don't keep it in your house. If you must keep it, put it in the least accessible place. If you want to wake up early, Keep your phone away from your bed. Environment shapes behavior. Behavior doesn't shape environment. We often praise successful people for their discipline, but we ignore their environment. High performers don't keep temptations around. Their workspace is intentional, minimal, clean, purpose-driven. It's not that they don't face distractions, it's that distractions simply aren't present. There's another important element in space sculpting: visual cues. What signal is your desk sending you? If your desk is messy, your brain will feel messy. If your desk is clean, your brain will feel ready to work. Clean space, clean mind isn't just a quote, it's neuroscience. But space sculpting doesn't mean you need aesthetic perfection. You don't need a Pinterest-worthy setup. Simple is enough. Just make sure every item has a reason to be there. If there's no reason, remove it. When you first start sculpting your space, it'll feel weird. An empty desk will feel uncomfortable, like something is missing. But that missing thing is actually creating space for focus. Silence, emptiness, boredom. These are all friends of deep work. Gradually, your brain will start associating with this environment. As soon as you sit at that desk, focus mode activates, because your brain recognizes patterns. If work always happens at that desk, your brain says, "No distraction here. This is where work happens." We often think multitasking is smart, but multitasking means shallow work. Space sculpting supports single tasking. One space, one purpose. Don't work in bed. Don't entertain yourself at your desk. These boundaries create clarity. Dr. Chen says willpower is unreliable. Environment is reliable. Willpower depends on mood, sleep, stress levels. But environment stays constant. That's why smart people don't try to change themselves. They change their surroundings. If you really want to increase focus, spending 30 minutes today cleaning and sculpting your room will help more than watching 10 motivation videos. Clean your desk. Remove your phone. Take out non-essential items. Keep only what serves your goal. In the beginning, there'll be resistance. Your brain will say, "Just leave the phone here, it's fine." But remember, you're not moving away from your phone, you're moving toward focus. This isn't deprivation, this is design. In the end, space sculpting teaches us a simple truth. We are products of our environment. If the environment is full of distractions, being distracted is natural. If the environment is focus-friendly, focus becomes natural. Deep work isn't a miracle. It's the result of sitting in the right space. So next time you blame yourself saying, "I have no focus," take a look at your room first. Maybe the problem isn't you. Maybe it's the space you're forcing yourself to work in. Change the space, and the story can change. Now, let's talk about something that might be even more important than your physical space. Let's talk about the biggest distraction of the modern world, the feeling that you need to respond to every message immediately. As soon as a notification comes, an alarm goes off in our minds. It feels urgent, important, like we might miss something critical. We drop whatever we're doing and open our inbox, WhatsApp, email. But here's the truth. Most digital fires aren't ours. They're someone else's urgency that we've adopted as our own. This is where Dr. Chen's triage method comes in. The word triage comes from the medical world. In hospitals, when multiple patients arrive simultaneously, doctors first decide whose treatment is immediately necessary, whose can wait, and who needs to be patient. Not every patient gets the same attention at the same time. If they did, nobody would survive properly. The same rule applies to digital life. Not every notification is an emergency, but we treat them all like emergencies. Think about it. You're sitting in deep focus, working on something important. Then an email arrives. The subject line triggers curiosity. You think, let me just check it quickly. You open the email and suddenly you see 2 more emails. Then you feel like replying. Then you check WhatsApp. Then Instagram notifications. Within 10 minutes, you're completely out of context. When you return to work, your mind feels heavy. This is the cost of instant responsiveness. The triage method says, don't give every incoming message the same level of priority. Most messages are other people's needs, not your goals. If you're always available, you're working on other people's agendas, not yours. Deep work becomes impossible. The core idea of this method is beautifully simple. During your focus blocks, you decide what's truly urgent and what can wait. Then you silence non-urgent interruptions completely, without guilt. You accept that during this time, you're unavailable. The biggest mental hurdle here is guilt. We've been taught that fast replies are professionalism, that they show we care. But the truth is that constant availability is the enemy of productivity. If you're always responding, you're never creating. The triage method gives you permission not to reply immediately. You start normalizing delayed responses. You understand that the world can function for 1 or 2 hours without your answer. To apply this method, you first need clarity. What's your focus block? That time when you do your most important work. During that time, notifications are off. Email is silent. WhatsApp is muted. Only truly urgent things are allowed. Now the question comes, what's urgent? Urgent is something that, if not done now, will cause real damage. Most emails aren't urgent. Most messages are just for convenience. But your brain interprets every ping as a threat. Triage method retrains your brain. When you silence notifications, anxiety will come initially. You'll feel like you're missing something. FOMO will hit. But this is just the effect of habit. In a few days, your brain will understand that silence isn't dangerous. An important point: the triage method isn't selfish, it's strategic. When you make deep progress during your focus blocks, you can respond better afterward. A half-focused reply is worse than a delayed but thoughtful response. Imagine this scenario. In one day, you give instant replies to 100 messages, but make 0 progress on your main project. Versus, you work for 3 hours in a focus block, produce significant output, and then handle messages. Which scenario creates more value long-term? The answer is clear. The triage method also teaches us that urgency is often an illusion. People have gotten used to instant replies, so they think if a reply doesn't come, there's a problem. But when you delay, in most cases, other person figures out the solution themselves. Many messages become irrelevant over time. Boundaries are crucial in this method. You need to make rules for yourself, like, I'm unavailable from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. in my focus block. You can tell close people if you want, but you don't need to explain to everyone. Your time is your asset. The digital world has made us reactive. We're always in respond mode. The triage method brings you to proactive mode. You decide when to react and when not to. Another interesting effect: when you drop immediate responsiveness, your work quality increases. Your brain gets uninterrupted time. Context switching decreases. Deep thinking becomes possible. This is deep work. People often say, "But my job is answering messages." Even then, triage applies. Not every message has the same priority. You can reply in batches. You don't need to jump at every ping. The triage method also makes you emotionally stronger. You don't get manipulated by others' urgency. You stay calm. You know what's important right now. Initially, you'll fear what people will think. But the truth is, results speak. When your output is strong, people ignore your response time. Respect comes from value, not responsiveness. In today's world, attention is the most valuable currency. If you give your attention to everyone for free, you'll have nothing left for yourself. The triage method is attention management. In the end, it's important to understand that you don't need to fight every notification. Not every fire is yours. Some fires are better left to burn. You're not a firefighter. You're a creator. Creators need focus, silence, and the courage to be unavailable. When you adopt the triage method, you make a clear trade. You give up immediate responsiveness and choose meaningful progress. Short-term, it's uncomfortable, but long-term, this is what moves you forward. The analog reset, reclaiming your brain from digital overload. Let's talk about something that's happening to all of us right now, and most of us don't even realize it. Our brains are operating at a speed that isn't natural for human beings. Every few seconds, there's a new image, a new video, a new notification. We're scrolling through screens so fast that our brains are getting stimulation at a rate that's literally rewiring our neural pathways. And the result? Slow things have started to feel painful. Reading a book feels boring. Sitting with one task feels impossible. Even thinking deeply feels uncomfortable. We say things like, "I can't focus anymore," or "My attention span is terrible." But that's not the real problem. The real problem is that our brains are overstimulated. Dr. Chen addresses this exact issue with what he calls the analog reset. And trust me, this concept might be the most important thing you learn today. The analog reset means bringing your brain back to a slower rhythm, back to a pace that's actually sustainable for human beings. The digital world has pushed our stimulation threshold through the roof. Our brains now only enjoy things that are fast, colorful, exciting, and constantly changing. Deep work is the opposite of all that. Deep work is slow. It's quiet. It's repetitive. If your brain is addicted to high-speed entertainment, deep work will feel like torture. The analog reset bridges this gap. It's like a detox for your overstimulated brain. Think about this for a moment. When was the last time you went for a walk without your phone? No music, no podcast, no calls. Just you and the path ahead. For most people, this idea alone feels uncomfortable. But that discomfort? That's the signal that your brain is desperately asking for a reset. Analog activities don't have algorithms designed to hook you. There's no autoplay, no infinite scroll. You have to set your own pace. When you read a physical book, the pages don't turn themselves. You have to physically move your hand to turn each page. Words absorb slowly, one at a time. At first, this feels agonizingly slow. Your brain resists. But after a while, your brain settles into that rhythm, and reading becomes immersive. That's recalibration. The core idea of the analog reset is this: intentionally spend time doing low-stimulation activities. Things like writing on paper, sketching, gardening, cooking without music, or walking without your phone. These activities teach your brain that enjoyment doesn't only exist in fast things. It also exists in depth. Today, because of digital overstimulation, we've become afraid of boredom. The moment boredom hits, we run to fill it. The analog reset doesn't see boredom as the enemy. It sees boredom as a training ground where your brain learns patience. When you walk without a podcast playing, your thoughts are noisy at first. Your brain starts reminding you of every random thing you need to do. But a few minutes later, that noise starts to settle. You begin noticing small things in your environment. The breeze, the sounds, the movement of your body. These things ground you. This mental clarity is the foundation of deep focus. The analog reset doesn't directly create deep work, but it makes deep work possible. It's like warming up before a workout. If you try to lift heavy weights without warming up, you'll get injured. Similarly, if you try deep work without resetting, you'll just feel frustrated. An important point: the analog reset isn't an escape. It's not running away from productivity. It's preparing for productivity. Some people think, if I'm going for a walk or writing in a journal, I'm wasting time. But actually, you're tuning your brain. You're calibrating it. When your brain's stimulation threshold comes down, simple things start feeling interesting again. Writing one paragraph doesn't feel heavy. Sitting with a problem doesn't feel boring. Deep focus starts to feel engaging instead of exhausting. The biggest benefit of the analog reset is that it makes you present. The digital world constantly throws you between the future and the past. Notifications remind you of future tasks. Social media makes you compare your past. Analog activities bring you to right now, to this moment. You need to understand something fundamental. Our brains work on contrast. If your entire day is filled with fast content, slow work will feel unbearable. But if you introduce some analog, slow living into your day, everything else becomes easier to handle. Dr. Chen isn't saying abandon digital completely. He's talking about balance. Digital tools are useful, but continuous use exhausts your brain. The analog reset heals that exhaustion. In the beginning, analog activities will feel boring. Genuinely, you'll feel like time has stopped. But that boredom is training. Just like muscle burn during exercise, boredom burn happens during brain training. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Gradually, you'll notice your attention span increasing. You can sit without restlessness. You can think about things deeply. This is the entry point to deep work. There's also a side effect that's incredibly valuable. Creativity increases. When your brain isn't constantly drowning in input, it starts making connections. Ideas emerge naturally. This is why the best ideas often come during showers or walks. Your brain finally has space to process and create. The analog reset makes you human again. Away from screens, you feel things, touch things, smell things. This sensory richness gives your brain balance. Let me share something that Dr. Chen talks about extensively in his book. He worked with a group of professionals who complained about severe focus problems. These were smart, capable people who just couldn't concentrate anymore. He gave them one simple assignment. Spend 30 minutes every day doing one analog activity. No phone, no digital device, just one simple, slow activity. Some chose journaling, some chose sketching, some chose cooking, some just sat outside and observed nature. The rule was simple. No multitasking, no rushing, no consuming digital content. The first week was hell for most of them. They felt anxious, restless, like they were wasting precious time. Their brains screamed for stimulation. But Dr. Chen told them to push through. By week 2, something started shifting. The restlessness decreased. By week 3, people started reporting something surprising. They were enjoying these analog moments. The silence felt refreshing instead of threatening, and by week 4, they noticed their work quality had dramatically improved. They could focus longer. They could handle complex problems without constantly reaching for their phones. Their creativity spiked. Ideas started flowing more naturally, all from just 30 minutes a day of analog activity. Here's what's fascinating about this. The analog reset isn't about adding more productivity tools to your life. It's about subtracting digital noise. Most of us keep adding apps, systems, techniques, thinking that more is better. But sometimes, less is more. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Dr. Chen shares a powerful analogy. He says, imagine your brain is like a battery. Digital stimulation doesn't charge it. It drains it. The only way to truly recharge is to disconnect completely and let your brain rest in low stimulation mode. And that's exactly what analog activities do. They let your brain rest. Not the fake rest of scrolling through Instagram. Real rest. The kind where your nervous system actually calms down. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I don't have time for this. I'm too busy. But here's the reality check. You're probably spending way more than 30 minutes a day on your phone doing nothing productive. Scrolling, checking, refreshing. That's not busy, that's just stimulated. The analog reset asks you to redirect that time. Instead of scrolling for 30 minutes, journal for 30 minutes. Instead of watching random videos, go for a walk. Same time investment, completely different return. Another beautiful thing about analog activities is that they're self-limiting. When you're reading a physical book, you can't read faster than the pace of turning pages and processing words. When you're writing by hand, you can't write faster than your hand can move. These natural limits force you to slow down. And that slowness is healing. Digital content has no natural limits. You can scroll forever. Videos autoplay forever. There's always more content. Your brain never gets a signal that says, "Okay, we're done now." So you keep consuming, and your brain keeps getting more exhausted. Dr. Chen also addresses a common concern. What if analog activities are too slow for my fast-paced career? His answer is brilliant. He says the people who need analog activities the most are exactly those in fast-paced careers. Because when your professional life is constantly at maximum speed, your brain needs a counterbalance. It needs moments of slowness to prevent burnout. Think of it like breathing. You can't just keep inhaling. Eventually, you need to exhale. The digital world is all inhale. Analog activities are the exhale. Without both, you suffocate. Here's a practical challenge Dr. Chen gives in his book, and I'm going to pass it on to you. For the next 7 days, commit to one 30-minute analog activity each day. No phone, no screen, just you and something simple. Day 1 might feel awful. Day 3 might still feel uncomfortable. But by day 7, I promise you'll notice a difference. Your mind will feel clearer. Your focus will feel sharper. And you might actually start looking forward to that analog time. Some people worry that doing analog activities will make them less productive, like they're losing precious work time. But it's actually the opposite. The time you invest in analog activities returns to you multiplied in the form of better focus, higher quality work, and increased creativity. It's not time lost, it's time invested in yourself, in your mental health, in your ability to do deep, meaningful work. Dr. Chen also talks about something he calls digital noise pollution. Just like living near a loud highway damages your hearing over time, constant digital noise damages your attention over time. The analog reset is like moving away from that highway, giving your attention a chance to heal. One more thing that's really important to understand. The analog reset isn't about being anti-technology. Dr. Chen himself uses technology extensively. This isn't about rejecting modern tools. It's about not letting those tools completely dominate your existence. It's about maintaining balance, about remembering that you're a human being, not a digital organism. Your ancestors lived entirely analog lives. Their brains evolved over millions of years in low-stimulation environments. Then suddenly, in the last 20 years, we've completely flooded those same brains with constant, rapid-fire stimulation. It's not surprising that we're struggling. We're asking our brains to do something they weren't designed to do. The analog reset is like remembering your roots, coming back home to the kind of environment your brain actually thrives in. In the end, here's the truth. You can't fight digital overstimulation with more digital solutions. You can't fix screen addiction by downloading another app. The only way out is through the analog door, through slowness, through simplicity, through boredom. And on the other side of that door, that's where deep work lives. That's where creativity flows. That's where you find yourself again, breaking free from the urgency trap. We need to talk about something that's silently destroying our productivity and peace of mind. It's not laziness. It's not lack of motivation. It's something much more insidious. It's the belief that everything is urgent. You know that feeling, right? A message comes in, and immediately your heart rate increases slightly. Your brain tells you, this might be important. Check it now. An email arrives, and even though you're in the middle of focused work, your mind keeps circling back to it. What if it's urgent? What if someone needs me? What if I'm missing something critical? This constant state of false urgency is what Dr. Chen calls the urgency trap. And here's the harsh reality. Most of us are living in this trap every single day without even realizing it. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like in real life. You sit down to work on your most important project, the one that actually moves your career forward, the one that requires deep thinking and sustained concentration. You open your laptop, take a deep breath, and tell yourself, okay, this is it. 2 hours of focused work. 5 minutes in, your phone buzzes. It's a message from a colleague asking a simple question. You think, I'll just quickly reply. It'll take 10 seconds. You pick up your phone, you reply. But while you're there, you see 3 other notifications. You check those too. Then you see a message from a friend. Then an email. Then a social media notification. 15 minutes later, you're deep in a completely different context. Your brain has completely lost the thread of what you were working on. When you finally get back to your important project, you have to spend another 10 minutes just trying to remember where you were and what you were thinking. The real tragedy? That colleague's question wasn't actually urgent. It could have waited 2 hours. But we've been conditioned to treat everything as if the world will end if we don't respond immediately. Dr. Chen spent years studying high performers across different fields, CEOs, writers, scientists, artists, entrepreneurs, and he found something fascinating. The most productive people aren't necessarily smarter or more talented. They're better at distinguishing between what's truly urgent and what just feels urgent. They've mastered what he calls ruthless prioritization. And the word ruthless is intentional, Because being good at this requires you to disappoint people sometimes, to let messages wait, to say no, to be unavailable when everyone else expects you to be available. Here's a framework that Dr. Chen teaches in his book. He calls it the 4 quadrants of urgency. Every task, every message, every request falls into one of 4 categories. Quadrant 1, urgent and important. These are genuine emergencies, a client crisis, a health issue, a deadline that's actually today. These things deserve immediate attention. But here's the key insight. This quadrant should represent less than 10% of your daily activities. If more than 10% of your day is spent in crisis mode, something is fundamentally broken in how you're organizing your life. Quadrant 2. Not urgent, but important. This is where deep work lives. Strategic thinking, skill development, building relationships, creating meaningful output. These things don't scream at you. They don't send notifications. But they're the things that actually create long-term value in your life and career. High performers spend most of their time here. Quadrant 3. Urgent but not important. This is the trap. This is where most people spend most of their time. Random messages, other people's priorities, meetings that could have been emails, things that feel urgent because someone else made them urgent, but they don't actually contribute to your goals. Quadrant 4. Not urgent and not important. Mindless scrolling, random browsing, busy work. This quadrant is just noise, pure distraction. The problem is that our brains can't naturally distinguish between real urgency and fake urgency. When a notification comes in, your amygdala treats it like a potential threat. Your stress response activates. You feel compelled to check it immediately. But 95% of the time, it's not actually urgent. It's just someone else's convenience. Dr. Chen tells a story in his book about a software developer named Marcus. Marcus was incredibly talented, but constantly stressed. He was working 12-hour days, but felt like he was accomplishing nothing meaningful. His manager kept praising him for being so responsive and always available. But Marcus felt like he was drowning. Dr. Chen had him do a simple exercise. For 1 week, Marcus tracked every interruption, every message, every email, every notification. And he asked himself 2 questions. Was this truly urgent? Did this contribute to my main goals? The results shocked Marcus. Out of 247 interruptions that week, only 11 were genuinely urgent. Only 11 actually needed an immediate response. The rest were either other people's priorities or complete noise. But Marcus had treated all 247 as if they were urgent. No wonder he was exhausted. Dr. Chen then introduced Marcus to a concept that changed everything: protected time blocks. The idea is simple but powerful. You designate specific blocks of time as completely protected. During these blocks, you're unavailable. Your phone is off or in another room. Email is closed. Chat apps are closed. You're working on Quadrant 2 activities only. Marcus started with just 2 hours a day. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. During those 2 hours, he was a ghost, unreachable. And here's what happened. In the first few days, he felt guilty, anxious, like he was being irresponsible. His brain kept telling him, "People might need you. You're letting people down." But then something interesting happened. The world didn't end. People figured things out on their own. The so-called urgent messages could wait. And in those 2 protected hours, Marcus accomplished more meaningful work than he had in the previous week combined. After a month, Marcus extended it to 4 hours a day, 2 blocks of 2 hours each. His output quality skyrocketed. His stress decreased dramatically. And surprisingly, nobody complained about his reduced availability. Because when he did respond, his responses were thoughtful and valuable. Quality over speed. Dr. Chen emphasizes something crucial here. He says, availability is not a virtue. It's often a vice disguised as professionalism. We've been taught that being responsive equals being professional, that being available equals being dedicated. But that's a lie sold to us by a culture that values busyness over effectiveness. Real professionals produce results. They create value. They solve complex problems. And all of that requires deep, uninterrupted focus, not constant responsiveness. Here's another powerful concept from the book: the 24-hour rule. Dr. Chen suggests that for any non-emergency message, give yourself permission to wait 24 hours before responding. Not because you're being rude, but because most things become clearer with a little time and distance. When you respond immediately, you're often responding from a reactive emotional state. You haven't had time to think deeply about the issue. But when you wait, even just a few hours, you can respond more thoughtfully. You can consider implications. You can provide real value instead of just quick acknowledgement. Some people worry, but what if people think I'm ignoring them? Dr. Chen's response is brilliant. He says, if your value is measured by your response time rather than your actual contributions, you're working in the wrong environment with the wrong people. Think about the people you truly respect professionally. Do you respect them because they reply to your messages in 30 seconds? Or do you respect them because they produce exceptional work? Because they have deep insights? Because they create meaningful value? Response time is a false metric of worth. Output quality is the real metric. Dr. Chen also addresses a common concern from people in customer-facing roles. But my job requires me to be responsive. And his answer is nuanced. He says, yes, some roles require responsiveness. But even in those roles, not every customer issue is equally urgent. Even in those roles, you can batch responses. You can set boundaries. He gives the example of a customer service manager he worked with named Lisa. Lisa felt like she had to respond to every customer complaint within minutes. She was burning out fast. Dr. Chen helped her implement a triage system. Critical issues affecting multiple customers respond immediately. Individual complaints that aren't time-sensitive batch and respond within 4 hours. Feature requests and suggestions batch and respond once daily. The result? Customer satisfaction actually improved. because when Lisa did respond, she was more focused and provided better solutions. The quality of her responses went up, even as the speed went down slightly. Here's what most people don't realize. When you're constantly interrupted, the cost isn't just the time spent on, quote, the interruption. The real cost is the context switching. Every time you switch from deep work to checking a message and back, your brain needs time to reload. Some research suggests it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully return to deep focus after an interruption. So, if you're getting interrupted every 20 minutes, you never actually reach deep focus at all. You're spending your entire day in shallow work mode. And shallow work doesn't create career-defining output. Dr. Chen teaches a practice he calls communication boundaries. It's about setting clear expectations with the people you work with. Something like, I check email 3 times a day, 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 4 p.m. For genuine emergencies, call me. Otherwise, expect a response within 24 hours. At first, this feels scary. What if people get angry? What if they think you're being difficult? But here's what actually happens. People respect clear boundaries. They adapt. And the people who don't respect your boundaries aren't people you want to work with anyway. One more powerful technique from the book, the response priority matrix. Dr. Chen suggests that before responding to any message, ask yourself 3 questions. Is this truly urgent? Does it need a response in the next hour? Is this important to my goals? Does it move my priorities forward? Am I the only person who can handle this? Or am I just the most convenient person? If the answer to all 3 is no, the message can wait. Or it doesn't need your response at all. This might sound harsh, but it's actually kind. Kind to yourself. Because your time, your focus, your mental energy, these are your most valuable resources. Treating them as infinite and available to anyone who wants them isn't generosity. It's self-destruction. Dr. Chen shares a quote that really stuck with me. Saying yes to everyone else's urgency means saying no to your own importance. Read that again. Let it sink in. Every time you drop everything to respond to someone else's non-urgent request, you're implicitly saying that their priorities matter more than yours, that their timeline is more important than your goals, that their convenience is more valuable than your focus. Is that really the message you want to send to yourself? The beautiful thing about escaping the urgency trap is that it creates a positive cycle. When you protect your focus time and produce high-quality work, your reputation improves. When your reputation improves based on output rather than responsiveness, people give you more space. They trust you more. They respect your boundaries more. And, paradoxically, you become more valuable precisely because you're less available. Scarcity creates value. When your attention is abundant and available to everyone, it becomes cheap. When your attention is carefully allocated, it becomes precious. Dr. Chen ends this section of his book with a challenge. For 1 week, implement protected time blocks. Start small if you need to, even just 1 hour a day. During that hour, be completely unavailable. See what happens. Track your output. Track your stress levels. Track how people respond. Most people discover that the world doesn't end. Work still gets done. And they accomplish more in that 1 protected hour than in 3 hours of interrupted time. The urgency trap is just that, a trap. It's not reality. It's a story we've been told and have accepted without questioning. But you don't have to live in that story anymore. You can choose importance over urgency, depth over responsiveness, your goals over everyone else's convenience. That choice? That's freedom. Putting it all together, your deep work transformation. All right, we've covered a lot of ground together. The boredom advantage, the body buffer, space sculpting, the triage method, the analog reset, breaking free from the urgency trap. These aren't just random techniques. They're pieces of a larger puzzle. And in this final section, we're going to put that puzzle together and talk about how to actually implement all of this in your real life. Because here's the thing. Reading about these concepts is easy. Nodding along and thinking, yeah, that makes sense, is easy. Actually changing your behavior? That's where it gets hard. That's where most people fail. Dr. Chen knows this. He's worked with thousands of people trying to reclaim their focus and do deep work. And he's seen the patterns. He knows where people get stuck. He knows what actually works and what just sounds good on paper. So let's talk about implementation. Let's talk about how to take everything we've discussed and turn it into lasting change in your life. First, Dr. Chen wants you to understand something crucial. You cannot change everything at once. I know you're probably feeling motivated right now. You're thinking, okay, starting tomorrow, I'm going to wake up early, meditate, do analog activities, protect my time blocks, keep my phone in another room, respond to messages only 3 times a day, and do 4 hours of deep work daily. And Dr. Chen would tell you that's exactly how you fail. Trying to change everything simultaneously is like trying to learn 5 languages at once. Your brain gets overwhelmed. Your willpower gets depleted. And within a week, you're back to your old habits. Except now, you also feel like a failure. Instead, Dr. Chen teaches what he calls the 1% method. Pick one small change, just one. Implement it consistently for 30 days until it becomes automatic. Then, add the next change. Think of it like building with Lego blocks. You don't throw all the blocks in the air, hoping they'll form a castle. You place one block at a time, carefully, intentionally, until the structure emerges. So where do you start? Dr. Chen has a framework for this. He calls it the impact assessment. You look at all the techniques we've discussed and ask yourself, which one would create the biggest positive impact in my life right now with the least resistance? For some people, it's the body buffer. They're struggling with phone addiction, constantly reaching for their device. For them, starting with one deep breath before picking up the phone could be transformative. For others, it's space sculpting. Their environment is chaos, and no amount of willpower can overcome a distracting workspace. For them, spending one afternoon completely reorganizing their desk might be the catalyst for change. For others still, it's the analog reset. Their brains are so overstimulated that they can't sit still for 5 minutes. For them, committing to one daily walk without their phone might be the foundation everything else builds on. There's no universal answer. The starting point is personal. But here's Dr. Chen's guidance. Start with the change that excites you most. Not the one that sounds most impressive or the one you think you should do. The one that genuinely sparks something in you. Because sustainable change requires emotional fuel, not just logical reasoning. Let me share a story from the book. Dr. Chen worked with a writer named Jennifer who was completely blocked. She'd sit at her computer for hours, staring at a blank page, feeling like a failure. She wanted to write. She had ideas, but she couldn't translate those ideas into words. Dr. Chen didn't give her a complex system. He gave her one instruction. For 30 days, write for 15 minutes every morning by hand. Not on a computer, in a physical notebook. Before checking any devices, before coffee, before anything. Jennifer was skeptical. 15 minutes? That seemed pointless. She needed to write entire chapters, not just a few paragraphs. But she committed. The first week was rough. She'd wake up, grab her notebook, and her mind would be blank. Or racing. Or both. Some days she just wrote, "I don't know what to write," over and over. But she kept going. Week 2, something started shifting. Words came a little easier. Not every day, but some days. Week 3, she found herself writing past the 15-minute mark sometimes. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. By week 4, her writing block was gone. Not because 15 minutes of handwriting magically solved her problems, but because she'd built a habit of showing up. She'd trained her brain that writing time was sacred. She'd created a routine that removed decision fatigue. And here's the beautiful part. Once that foundation was solid, she started naturally implementing other techniques. She put her phone in another room during writing time without being told to. She started taking walks to think through story problems. She stopped checking email first thing in the morning. One change created momentum for others. That's the power of starting small. Dr. Chen also talks extensively about something he calls the implementation intention. This is a fancy term for a simple concept. Being specific about when and where you'll do something. Most people set vague goals like, "I'll use my phone less," or "I'll do more deep work." But vague goals lead to vague results. Implementation intentions are specific. They follow this format. When X happens, I will do Y in location Z. For example, when I sit at my desk in the morning, I will put my phone in the drawer before opening my laptop. When I feel the urge to check social media, I will take 3 deep breaths and ask myself if this serves my goals. When I finish my workday at 6 p.m., I will go for a 20-minute walk without any devices. The specificity removes ambiguity. Your brain knows exactly what to do. There's no room for negotiation or decision fatigue. Dr. Chen also addresses something that many self-help books ignore: the reality of setbacks. You're going to fail sometimes. You're going to pick up your phone without the body buffer. You're going to skip your analog activity. You're going to respond to a non-urgent email immediately. And that's okay. Expected even. The difference between people who succeed long-term and people who give up isn't that successful people never fail. It's that they don't let one failure become a pattern. They have what Dr. Chen calls the reset ritual. When you notice you've slipped back into an old habit, you don't beat yourself up. You don't say, "Well, I already messed up today, might as well give up completely." Instead, you acknowledge it neutrally, like a scientist observing data. Interesting. I picked up my phone without a buffer. I wonder why that happened. What was I feeling? What triggered it? Then you simply reset and continue. No drama, no guilt, just back to the practice. This removes the all-or-nothing thinking that destroys most change attempts. You're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to be consistent. And consistency allows for occasional failures as long as you get back on track quickly. Dr. Chen shares research showing that people who practice self-compassion during setbacks are significantly more likely to achieve their goals than people who practice self-criticism. Beating yourself up doesn't create change. It creates shame. And shame creates paralysis. He tells another powerful story about a client named David, a senior executive at a tech company. David had tried every productivity system imaginable: GTD, Pomodoro, time blocking, you name it. He'd start strong, follow the system religiously for a few days, then miss one day and completely abandon it. The pattern was always the same. He'd beat himself up for failing, decide the system didn't work for him, and move on to the next shiny technique. He was trapped in what Dr. Chen calls the productivity porn loop. Constantly consuming advice, but never implementing anything long enough to see results. Dr. Chen asked David one simple question: "What happens when you miss a day?" David's answer was revealing. "I feel like I've failed, like I've proven I don't have discipline. So I stop because what's the point?" Dr. Chen introduced him to the reset ritual. The next time David missed his morning deep work session, instead of spiraling into self-criticism, he simply noted it. "I missed today because I stayed up late last night and was too tired this morning. That's data. Tomorrow I'll go to bed earlier." No judgment, no shame, just observation and adjustment. This small mindset shift changed everything for David. He stopped seeing setbacks as failures and started seeing them as information. Within 3 months, he'd established a consistent deep work practice for the first time in his career. Now, let's talk about something really important: the people around you. Your environment isn't just your physical space. It's also your social space. And the people in your life will either support your deep work journey or undermine it. Some will be supportive. They'll respect your boundaries when you say you're unavailable during focus blocks. They'll understand when you don't reply immediately. They'll encourage your analog activities. Others won't understand. They'll get frustrated when you don't respond instantly. They'll make jokes about you being antisocial when you don't join every group chat. They'll pressure you to stay connected constantly. Dr. Chen is blunt about this. You need to have honest conversations with the important people in your life. Explain what you're doing and why. Help them understand that this isn't about rejecting them. It's about becoming a better version of yourself. He suggests using what he calls the bridge statement. It's a simple communication framework that prevents defensiveness and builds understanding. I care about our relationship, and I'm making some changes to improve my focus and well-being. Here's what that means practically. Specific boundary. This isn't about you. It's about me taking care of my mental health. Can I count on your support? Notice the "and" instead of "but." This subtle shift keeps both parts of the statement true, without one canceling out the other. Most people, when approached with honesty and vulnerability, will support you. But some won't. And that's information. That tells you something about the relationship. Dr. Chen shares a powerful quote. People who get upset when you set boundaries are people who benefited from you having none. Sometimes deep work requires you to outgrow certain relationships, or at least restructure them. Not every friendship needs to involve constant digital contact. Not every colleague needs immediate access to you. This can be uncomfortable, but discomfort is part of growth. He worked with a woman named Sarah who was terrified to set boundaries with her extended family. They had a group chat that was active 24/7. Constant messages, memes, updates, arguments. Sarah felt obligated to participate, but it was destroying her focus and mental peace. With Dr. Chen's guidance, she sent a loving message to the group. "Hey everyone, I love you all, and I'm not leaving the chat, but I'm going to check it only once a day in the evening instead of constantly. If there's a genuine emergency, call me. Otherwise, I'll catch up on everything when I check in. This is about my mental health, and I hope you understand." The response? Some people were supportive. One aunt got offended and didn't speak to her for 2 weeks. But that aunt eventually came around, and Sarah's stress levels dropped dramatically. 6 months later, 2 of her cousins thanked her. They said her example gave them permission to set their own boundaries. Change ripples outward. Dr. Chen also talks about something he calls the compound effect of deep work. When you start doing focused, undistracted work regularly, the results aren't linear. They're exponential. In the first month, you might notice small improvements. You finish projects a bit faster. You feel slightly less stressed. But the changes aren't dramatic. By month 3, things start accelerating. You're producing higher quality work. People start noticing. Opportunities start opening up. By month 6, you're operating at a completely different level. Skills that would have taken years to develop in shallow work mode are developing in months. Your confidence increases. Your reputation grows. This is why you can't judge the process too early. The first few weeks feel effortful for modest returns. But you're building compound interest. Every day of deep work makes the next day easier and more productive. Dr. Chen shares data from his research showing that people who consistently practice deep work for 6 months report an average productivity increase of 40%. Not 40% more hours worked, 40% more meaningful output in the same time or less. That's transformative. That's career-defining. That's life-changing. But here's the catch. You have to stick with it long enough to see those results. Most people quit after 2 weeks because they don't see dramatic changes immediately. They're looking for instant transformation in a world that conditions us to expect instant everything. Deep work is the opposite of instant. It's cumulative, patient, long-term. Dr. Chen uses a gardening metaphor that I love. He says, "You don't plant a seed on Monday and expect a tree on Friday. You water it consistently, trust the process, and eventually you have something magnificent." Deep work is the same. Let's talk about measuring progress. How do you know if this is working? Dr. Chen suggests tracking 3 simple metrics. 1. Focus duration. How long can you work on one task without distraction? Track this weekly. You might start at 20 minutes. After a month, maybe you're at 45 minutes. After 3 months, maybe you're at 90 minutes. This is tangible progress. 2. Output quality. Are you producing better work? This is subjective but important. Are you proud of what you're creating? Are others noticing improvements? Trust your gut on this one. 3. Mental clarity. How do you feel mentally? Are you less anxious, less scattered, more present? This is often the first thing to improve, even before productivity increases. Don't track everything obsessively. These 3 metrics give you enough information without creating analysis paralysis. He also recommends keeping what he calls a focus journal. Not a detailed diary, just simple daily notes. Today's focus block, 45 minutes. Worked on project proposal. Felt pretty good. Phone stayed in drawer the whole time. Small win. These notes serve 2 purposes. First, they help you see progress over time. When you're feeling discouraged, you can look back and see how far you've come. Second, they help you identify patterns. You might notice you focus better in the morning, or that certain days are consistently harder, or that your focus correlates with how much sleep you got. Data removes emotion from the equation. You're not guessing, you're knowing. Dr. Chen also addresses a question that comes up frequently. Can I ever go back to using my phone normally? Or is this a permanent lifestyle change? His answer is nuanced. He says, deep work isn't about demonizing technology or living like a monk. It's about intentionality, about being in control rather than being controlled. Once you've rebuilt your focus capacity and established strong habits, you can be more flexible. You can choose to spend an evening scrolling if you want. The difference is, it's a choice, not a compulsion. You're using the technology, it's not using you. Some people find they naturally want less digital stimulation after experiencing the peace of deep work. Others maintain a balance, using technology heavily for specific purposes, but protecting certain times and spaces. There's no moral superiority in being less connected. The goal isn't minimal technology. The goal is maximal intentionality. Dr. Chen shares his own relationship with technology. He uses social media. He checks email. He watches Netflix. But he does it all intentionally, during specific times, for specific purposes. His phone doesn't dictate his day. He dictates when and how he uses his phone. That's the difference. That's freedom. Let me share one more story that really captures the essence of this entire journey. Dr. Chen worked with a college student named Alex, who was failing his classes despite being intelligent and hardworking. Alex would study for hours every day, but his grades kept dropping. Dr. Chen observed Alex studying. What he saw was shocking. In 1 hour of studying, Alex checked his phone 47 times, switched between tabs 63 times, actually focused on his textbook for a total of 11 minutes. Alex was putting in the hours, but getting zero depth. His brain never had a chance to process or retain information because it was constantly interrupted. Dr. Chen introduced Alex to the full system: body buffer before phone use, space sculpting for his study area, triage method for managing messages, analog reset through daily walks, and protected focus blocks for studying. The transformation was remarkable. Within 1 semester, Alex went from nearly failing to making the dean's list. Not because he studied more hours, because the hours he studied were actually productive. Years later, Alex wrote to Dr. Chen, "You didn't just save my academic career. You taught me how to be present in my own life. That's a gift I'll never forget." That's what this is really about. Not productivity for productivity's sake, but being fully present for your own life. As we come to the end of this journey through Dr. Chen's book, I want to leave you with what he considers his most important message. It's something he tells everyone he works with, and it's this: deep work isn't about productivity hacks. It's not about squeezing more output from your hours. At its core, deep work is about reclaiming your humanity in a world designed to fragment your attention. It's about remembering that you're a person, not a notification responder, that you have depth, not just surface, that your worth isn't measured by your response time, but by your ability to create, think, and contribute meaningfully. We live in a time of unprecedented distraction, but we also live in a time of unprecedented opportunity for those willing to go deep. While everyone else is skimming the surface, scattered and reactive, you can choose differently. You can choose presence over constant availability, focus over fragmentation, depth over breadth, meaning over busyness. This choice isn't easy. It requires saying no when everyone around you says yes. It requires sitting in discomfort when escape is one tap away. It requires patience when the world demands instant results. But this choice, this is how you build a life that matters, work that matters, a self that you're proud of. Dr. Chen has a morning ritual that I want to share with you. Every morning, before he checks any device, he asks himself 3 questions. What's the one thing that, if accomplished today, would make everything else easier or unnecessary? Am I living reactively or intentionally right now? What does my future self need me to do today? These questions orient him toward what matters. They pull him out of reactive mode and into intentional mode. He recommends writing these questions somewhere you'll see them every morning. Dr. Chen ends his book with a simple invitation. He says, "Start today, not tomorrow, not Monday, not next month. Choose one small practice from this book and implement it right now, today, this hour." Because transformation doesn't happen in grand gestures. It happens in small, consistent choices. 1 breath before picking up your phone. 1 hour with your phone in another room. 1 walk without podcasts. 1 morning of writing by hand. These small acts, repeated consistently, compound into a completely different life. The research is clear. The neuroscience is clear. The thousands of people Dr. Chen has worked with prove it. Reclaiming your focus is possible. Deep work is achievable, even for distracted people, especially for distracted people. Because if you're distracted, it means you're human. It means you're living in the same world everyone else is living in. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're just operating without the right tools and frameworks. Now you have those tools. Now you have the framework. The only question is, will you use them? So here's my question for you, friend. Not someday, right now. What's the one small change you're going to make today? What's the one practice you're going to commit to for the next 30 days? Don't overthink it. Don't make it complicated. Just choose one thing. Will it be the body buffer? Taking 1 deep breath before reaching for your phone? Will it be space sculpting? Clearing your desk right now and putting your phone in another room? Will it be the analog reset? Committing to 1 daily walk without devices? Will it be the triage method? Setting up your first protected focus block tomorrow morning? Will it be embracing boredom? Choosing 1 moment today to just sit and do nothing. Whatever it is, decide now. Make the commitment to yourself, for yourself, and then do it. Because deep work for distracted people isn't a destination. It's a practice, a daily choice, a commitment to yourself that your attention, your focus, your mental space, these are sacred. These are worth protecting. You've been given 1 life, 1 brain, 1 capacity for deep, meaningful work. Don't let it be fragmented into 1,000 shallow pieces. The world is loud. Your phone is demanding. Everyone wants your attention, but you get to decide where that attention goes. Choose wisely. Choose intentionally. Choose depth. Go deep. Stay focused. Do work that matters. The world needs what you can create when you're fully present. Your family needs the version of you that's not constantly distracted. Your career needs the output that only comes from sustained focus. And most importantly, you need the peace that comes from living intentionally instead of reactively. This is your invitation. This is your moment. This is your chance to reclaim what's rightfully yours, your attention, your time, your life. Don't waste it scrolling. Don't waste it in shallow busy work. Don't waste it responding to other people's urgencies. Invest it in depth, in presence, in work that means something. You have everything you need. The knowledge is here. The tools are here. The only missing ingredient is your decision to start. So start, right now, today, this moment. Your future self is waiting for you on the other side of this decision. And trust me, they're grateful you made it. Now go. Go create something meaningful. Go focus deeply. Go live intentionally. The world of deep work is waiting for you. Welcome home. Final conclusion. Your journey to deep work starts now. So here we are, friend. We've traveled through an entire journey together. From understanding the hidden power of boredom to building body buffers, from sculpting your space to mastering the triage method, from analog resets to breaking free from false urgency. And now we arrive at the most critical moment of all. What happens next? Because let me be completely honest with you. Everything we've discussed means absolutely nothing if you close this page and go right back to scrolling. It means nothing if you nod along, think, "That was interesting," and then continue living exactly as you were before. Information without implementation is just entertainment. And you didn't come here to be entertained. You came here because something inside you knows that you're capable of more. You came here because you're tired of feeling scattered, distracted, and unfocused. You came here because deep down, you know there's a better way to live and work. So let's talk about what that better way actually looks like, starting today. First, I want you to acknowledge something powerful. You made it to the end of this summary. In a world where the average person can't focus for more than 8 seconds, you stayed present for this entire journey. That already sets you apart. That tells me something important about you. You have the capacity for focus. It's not gone. It's not broken. It's just buried under layers of distraction and overstimulation. And if it's buried, it can be uncovered. Dr. Chen's research with thousands of individuals reveals a pattern. The people who successfully transform their focus and achieve consistent deep work share one characteristic. They don't try to change everything at once. They pick one practice, commit to it fully for 30 days, and let momentum build from there. So right now, I want you to make a decision. Not tomorrow, not after you think about it. Right now. Which one practice from this person, everything we've covered, resonates most deeply with you? Is it the Boredom Advantage? The radical idea that instead of running from empty moments, you'll embrace them. That you'll intentionally spend 5 minutes today doing absolutely nothing, just to prove to yourself that you can. Is it the body buffer? That simple breath or physical action before touching your phone. The practice that interrupts the automatic loop and gives your conscious mind a chance to make an intentional choice? Is it space sculpting? The commitment to spend 30 minutes today clearing your workspace, removing distractions, and creating an environment that supports focus instead of fragmenting it? Is it the triage method? The decision to set up your first protected focus block tomorrow morning, where you'll be completely unavailable for 2 hours while you work on something that actually matters? Is it the analog reset? The commitment to take one 20-minute walk every day for the next week without any devices, allowing your overstimulated brain to recalibrate. Choose one, just one. Write it down right now, not in a digital note that you'll never look at again, on actual paper. Make it physical. Make it real. Now, I want you to get specific. Don't just write, "I'll do body buffers." Write exactly when and where you'll implement this practice. Use the implementation intention framework we discussed. For example, every time I reach for my phone while at my desk, I will take 3 deep breaths first and ask myself if this action serves my goals. Or, every morning at 6:30 a.m., before checking any devices, I will walk around my neighborhood for 20 minutes. Or, every workday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., my phone will be in my desk drawer, and I will work on my most important project with 0 interruptions. Specificity removes ambiguity. Your brain needs to know exactly what to do, when to do it, and where to do it. Vague intentions lead to 0 action. Next, I want you to identify your biggest obstacle. What's the thing that's most likely to derail you? Be honest. Is it fear of missing out? Is it guilt about not being immediately responsive? Is it the discomfort of boredom? Is it lack of support from people around you? Whatever it is, acknowledge it. Write it down. Then, write down your response plan. When that obstacle shows up, and it will, what will you do? For example, when I feel FOMO about not checking my phone, I will remind myself that nothing catastrophic has ever happened in 2 hours, and I will redirect my attention to my current task. Or, when someone gets upset that I didn't respond immediately, I will calmly explain that I check messages at specific times, and I will offer to schedule a call if it's truly urgent. Having a plan removes the need to make decisions in the moment. And decision-making in the moment, when you're feeling triggered or uncomfortable, is when you're most likely to cave. Now, let's talk about accountability. Research shows that people who share their commitments with at least one other person are significantly more likely to follow through. So tell someone. Text a friend right now. Hey, I'm committing to specific practice for the next 30 days. Can you check in with me weekly to see how it's going? This isn't about external pressure. It's about creating a support system. When you know someone cares about your progress, you are more likely to show up for yourself. Here's something else that's crucial. Expect resistance. Your brain is going to fight you on this. It's going to tell you that this is unnecessary, that you're fine the way you are, that you'll start next week instead. It's going to create every excuse imaginable. That resistance isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you're doing something right. You're disrupting patterns that have been running on autopilot for years. Of course, there's resistance. That's normal. That's expected. That's part of the process. Dr. Chen talks about what he calls the resistance curve. In the first week of any new practice, resistance is at its peak. It feels difficult, uncomfortable, unnatural. But if you push through that first week, resistance starts to decrease. By week 3, the practice starts feeling less foreign. By week 4, it's beginning to feel normal. Most people quit during that first week, when resistance is highest. Don't be most people. Expect the discomfort. Welcome it even. It's the price of admission for a completely different life. Let me also address something important. You're going to mess up. You're going to pick up your phone without the body buffer. You're going to skip your analog walk. You're going to respond to a non-urgent message during your focus block. And that's completely okay. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. The goal is to mess up, notice it without judgment, learn from it, and get back on track immediately. Don't let one slip become a slide. Don't let one missed day become a missed week. Use the reset ritual we discussed. Observe what happened like a scientist. Interesting. I responded immediately to that message. Why? What was I feeling? What triggered that? Then adjust and continue. No drama, no self-criticism, just data and adjustment. Here's what I want you to understand on a deep level. This isn't about becoming a productivity robot. This isn't about optimizing every minute of your day for maximum output. This is about reclaiming your humanity. In a world that's designed to fragment your attention and keep you in reactive mode, choosing to focus deeply is an act of rebellion. It's a statement that your life belongs to you, not to your phone, not to other people's demands, not to the endless digital noise. Deep work is how you create things that matter. It's how you solve complex problems. It's how you develop mastery in your field. It's how you experience the satisfaction of being fully absorbed in something meaningful. But beyond productivity, deep work is how you become present for your own life. It's how you show up fully for conversations with people you love, instead of being half present and half elsewhere. It's how you experience moments instead of just documenting them. It's how you remember what it feels like to be a human being instead of a notification-responding machine. The path forward is clear. You have the knowledge, you have the tools, you have the frameworks. The only variable now is your commitment, your willingness to choose discomfort over convenience, your courage to be unavailable when everyone else is always on, your patience to trust a process that compounds slowly over time. Dr. Chen says something in his book that really stuck with me. The cost of distraction isn't measured in lost productivity. It's measured in lost presence. In moments you were physically there, but mentally absent. In experiences that passed by while you were staring at a screen. in relationships that withered because you could never give them your full attention. What's the cost of distraction been in your life? How many moments have you missed? How many opportunities have passed by? How much potential has remained untapped because you couldn't focus long enough to develop it? And more importantly, how much longer are you willing to pay that cost? The alternative is right in front of you. Start small, stay consistent, trust the process. 30 days from now, you'll be a different person. Not because 30 days is magical, but because 30 days of consistent practice builds new neural pathways, creates new habits, establishes new defaults. 6 months from now, people around you will notice the change. Your work quality will be higher. Your stress levels will be lower. Your presence will be fuller. And you'll barely remember what it felt like to live in constant distraction. 1 year from now, you'll look back at this moment as the turning point, the day you decided to stop being a passenger in your own life and become the driver. So here's my final challenge to you. Close this page and immediately implement one practice. Don't wait. Don't plan. Don't overthink. Just do it. Put your phone in another room right now. Take a 5-minute walk without any devices. Clear your desk completely. Write your implementation intention on paper. Do something, anything, that moves you from consumption to action. Because the gap between knowing and doing is where dreams go to die. And you didn't come this far to let your dreams die in that gap. You're capable of deep work. You're capable of sustained focus. You're capable of creating something meaningful. The only question is, will you choose to? The answer starts today, right now, this moment. Go, create, focus, live deeply. Your best work is waiting for you on the other side of distraction. Now go do it.